visuals around the Bellevue mine aren't that settling. I'm literally getting the explosions and just people kind of everywhere. That's the visual I'm being shown, and not exactly whole either.
No.
So that's a little unsettling. And
well, the headache started when I started to feel like somebody had literally had their head kind of split to here, and my head's been throbbing ever since.
Now, this mine was actually open from 1903 until 1962. Now, during the years of operation, about 67 men died in this mine. 31 died on one day. It was the Bellevue Underground Mine explosion, December 9th, 1910. Some of the men would have been killed right away, but others gathered together around a compressed air pipe and punctured holes in the pipe, and they felt that if they could stay there long enough, maybe they would be able to keep breathing that air until somebody comes back in to find them. But someone on the outside of the mine was afraid that that air would fuel a fire, and they turned it off. And that was where the men died.
Now, George just keeps coming to me over and over again.
I keep getting a Richard. And believe it or not, a Rudy or something. Rudy?
I was getting a Darwin. Not Darren, but Darwin. Darwin. And I'm still getting some female names like Ethel and Elizabeth. And
I actually got an Anita earlier. And then a Janet. We were both picking up on a Janet or Janice this morning. So we'll see where that fits. If it's here.
I just heard Ronald and Bob too.
There's a lot of illness associated with where we're going to from that time period.
There must have been some kind of, I don't want to say disease, but something epidemic, something that flew through, because I was getting sweats and feverish, and you were...
Me too.
I'm just getting some man, and I heard the name Wilhelmina. But I don't know, names are...
Wilma.
It could be Wilma. That seems more normal to, or, but...
Wilma!
Fred. We've been picking up on Fred.
Fred is pretty strong.
It is a strong name.
I still get a
and
strong
a Mr.
Richard.
F. I don't know. I keep hearing
FL. I wasn't sure if it was Flanders or Flounders or...
But it's definitely an authority figure. Mr. You called him Mr. and the FL comes through pretty clearly.
The rescue man that came in was actually Fred Alderson, and he came over from British Columbia. And when he came over, he was inside helping the miners, loaned out his rescue pack for the men on the outside, to take one of the men outside, I should say. Now, those packs were very tricky because you only had about 2 hours of air. So if you were breathing too quickly, you used up the air before you believed that you would. So if you're breathing really fast, you might use up all the air in maybe an hour rather than 2 hours. When they brought the pack back into Fred, there wasn't enough air for him to be able to get out. One of the people who worked here before, one of the times that she was in the mine, she'd gone in to do some work in there, and she was alone. Now, the only other person that was on the site with her was here in the building. For unknown reason, her light went out, and she realized that she had to get out somehow. So she started to follow along the high side, where the wall is the highest, feeling the timbers. She felt that she would be able to make her way out that way. But all of the while she was in the mine with her light out, somebody inside was whistling. Not like the wind would whistle or you would hear the water, because you can hear the water flowing on the inside. But it was more like a melody, she said, like an old-time waltz.
Before we actually even come to a location, we start to receive information. And even on the way here, we start to pick up names or situations that have occurred. And so with this particular mine, we knew that we were encountering something really special because it's such an amazing place, but it's such a family vibration here. I mean, the departed with the living, it's all very comfortable and homey, but the spirits that have lost their lives here still do hang out, and they like to create a lot of activity.
They definitely create
They
activity.
really like messing with you.
Okay.
In a good way, though, in a positive way.
But I was certainly wondering who the Mr. FL, like I kept, Mr. Fla, I couldn't quite pick up on it.
Well, the gentleman that started this mine was named Mr. Fluteau.
Oh, very cool.
Yes.
And it was about respect. They had to be called Mr. He had to be called Mr. He demanded the respect. And people called him Mr. Like, that was a big part of it.
That makes sense.
And everything that's written about him is Mr.
Mr. Fluteau. That's
Oh.
right. That's right.
When you're that big, they call you Mister. Do you ever come in here and hear whistling, or? Because I'm getting a very strong whistle, like, or I can't do it very well, but it's like they're calling you.
One of the ladies that worked here as our mine safety coordinator, one time when she was in here, she was in alone. There was one other person working on the surface, but she was here alone. For an unknown reason, her light went out. All of the while that her light was out, someone in here was whistling. And she said it wasn't like the wind would whistle or the wind or the water, sorry. It was more like a melody.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Can you
I
hear
can
it?
hear him.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah. Wow.
Just
Starting to hear
whistling
the
away.
Clanking again now.
And then all of this traditional, it was like European music. I don't know, like just singing. I mean, like anthems almost.
Well, every nationality was represented here.
One of the messages that we were getting was that there was lots of belly aches.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was like an
Stomach aches.
epidemic or what had happened,
And
but
fever to the point of like foreheads
Yeah.
dripping fevers and things like that.
1918.
was it an epidemic? Or?
Yeah.
Could be.
We were picking up, nausea and just the fever aspect. I picked up. You got the
Yeah.
stomach.
Oh, my stomach was going crazy.
And I was just feeling, when you get really sweaty and drippy. Yeah,
There
it
are many
was.
people killed in 1918 epidemic all over, but particularly in the past too.
Wow.
Wow.
Bellevue is beautiful.
Actually, that's true, and that's why it was named that. Pluto's daughter, when she came here,
of course.
that's what she said. He said, what do you think of this area? And she said, Papa, kill Bellevue. They didn't hear, when we were speaking earlier, they didn't hear my comment about one of my coworkers experiencing someone in the mine whistling. And yet they mentioned that they heard whistling. They heard a lot of clanging and clanking in the mine, and of course the rest of us couldn't hear that. But they also named a man named Peter, which was very, very significant for us. I've done this tour quite a few times now with lots of different people. I've never had people in the mine before that were able to be sensitive enough to pick up things that the rest of us never see. So this was a very special experience for us today.
I'm so glad we're hanging out at the witchery today, Debbie.